Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering why your mind chose this exact moment to jolt you from sleep? You're not alone. This mysterious awakening happens to millions of people around the world, and today we're going to explore why this happens through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology. Most people think these 3 a.m. wake-ups are just random sleep disturbances or the result of drinking too much water before bed. But what if I told you that according to Jungian psychology, these awakenings might actually be your unconscious mind trying to communicate something important to you? In this video, I'm going to reveal the hidden psychological reasons you keep waking up at 3 a.m. based on Carl Jung's revolutionary ideas about the unconscious mind. These patterns that exist within the unconscious have profound implications for understanding your sleep disturbances and what they might be trying to tell you. Before we dive into why you're waking up at 3 a.m., we need to understand a crucial concept from Jung's work: the collective unconscious. Jung believed that beyond our personal unconscious mind lies a deeper layer that we all share as human beings, filled with ancient patterns, archetypes, and wisdom that transcends our individual experiences. Throughout human history, the hours between midnight and dawn have been considered spiritually significant across virtually every culture. The ancient Romans called 3 a.m. the hora tertia, a time when the veil between worlds was thinnest. Medieval Europeans called it the witching hour. Traditional Chinese medicine identifies 3 a.m. as the time when the liver meridian is most active, representing transformation and renewal. When you wake at 3 a.m., you're experiencing something that connects you to this collective wisdom across time and cultures. But why does it happen specifically to you? That's where we need to look at the psychological mechanisms that Jung's work reveals. The first reason you might be experiencing these 3 a.m. awakenings is what Jung called shadow work. Your shadow is everything in you that remains unconscious or rejected, the parts of yourself you've pushed away, denied, or haven't yet recognized. During deep sleep, the conscious mind's defenses are lowered. This gives your shadow self the perfect opportunity to send messages to your conscious mind. The things you're avoiding during waking hours, difficult emotions, unfulfilled desires, unacknowledged truths, find their voice at 3 a.m. To work with your shadow, keep a notepad by your bed. When you wake at 3 a.m., instead of checking your phone or trying to force sleep, ask yourself, what am I avoiding in my waking life? What needs my attention? Write down whatever comes to mind without judgment. These notes often reveal patterns over time that point directly to your shadow material. The shadow doesn't wake you to torment you. It wakes you because it wants integration. Every part of your psyche ultimately seeks wholeness, and your 3 a.m. awakening might be this rejected material asking for acknowledgement. When we suppress aspects of ourselves during waking hours, the unconscious often uses our sleep cycles as an opportunity to bring these elements into awareness. The second reason for your 3 a.m. awakenings relates to Jung's concept of synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences that aren't causally connected, but relate to each other through significance rather than cause and effect. Jung believed that time itself can be symbolic, not just linear. In this framework, 3 a.m. isn't just a time on the clock. It represents a symbolic state of consciousness where you're most receptive to meaningful coincidences and connections. When you repeatedly wake at 3 a.m., pay attention to any recurring patterns, numbers, or themes in your life. These synchronicities often point toward decisions or realizations that your conscious mind hasn't fully processed yet, but your unconscious mind is trying to highlight. The next time you wake at this hour, instead of feeling frustrated, ask yourself, what patterns am I noticing in my life right now? What decisions am I facing that might be connected to this timing? The answers might surprise you. Synchronicity suggests that your 3 a.m. awakenings might be aligned with larger patterns in your life journey. Jung observed that during major life transitions or periods of psychological growth, synchronicities tend to increase. Your consistent awakening at this specific time might be connected to an important threshold you're crossing in your personal development. The third psychological mechanism behind 3 a.m. awakenings involves what Jung called active imagination, a method of engaging with unconscious content through a waking dream state. The hours between 3 a.m. and dawn represent what anthropologists call a liminal space, a threshold between one state and another. It's not fully night anymore, but not yet morning. Jung recognized that these in-between states are incredibly powerful for psychological transformation because the boundaries between conscious and unconscious are most permeable. When you wake at 3 a.m., you're entering a natural liminal space where active imagination can occur spontaneously. Your mind is partly in the dream world and partly awake, the perfect condition for receiving symbolic imagery from your unconscious. To work with active imagination during your 3 a.m. awakenings, don't immediately try to distract yourself or fall back asleep. Instead, gently focus on any images, feelings, or thoughts that arise. Ask them questions as if you're having a conversation. What are you trying to show me? Why are you here now? Record these conversations in a journal kept by your bed. This liminal state offers rare access to unconscious material that normally remains hidden during full wakefulness. The imagery and insights that arrive during these hours often have a different quality than regular thoughts. They tend to be more symbolic, emotionally resonant, and connected to deeper patterns in your life. The fourth reason for those 3 a.m. wake-ups relates to Jung's concept of individuation. The lifelong process of becoming your complete, authentic self by integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of your personality. Jung believed that psychologically, midnight to dawn mirrors the middle to later stages of life, when we're called to integrate our full selves rather than identify only with our public personas. At 3 a.m., we're forced to be with ourselves without the distractions of daily life, a perfect symbolic time for the individuation process to accelerate. These wake-ups aren't simply insomnia, they're invitations to engage with the individuation process. Your unconscious might be creating space for you to reevaluate your identity beyond your various social roles, which often dominate your waking attention. If you're experiencing these awakenings, especially in midlife or during major life transitions, ask yourself, what aspects of myself have I neglected while focusing on external demands? What parts of me are asking for integration now? Your 3 a.m. thoughts often contain clues about the next stage of your personal development. Jung observed that our most pressing psychological tasks often manifest as disruptions to our normal functioning. Your sleep disturbance might be creating necessary space for inner work that your busy waking life doesn't allow. Rather than seeing these awakenings as problems to fix, you might reframe them as your psyche's attempt to create time for important inner processes. The fifth and perhaps most profound reason for 3 a.m. awakenings involves direct encounters with what Jung called archetypes, universal symbols and patterns that exist in the collective unconscious and appear in dreams, myths, and art across cultures. Jung identified numerous archetypes, including the shadow, the anima, animus, our inner feminine, masculine, the wise elder, and the self. These archetypes often appear in dreams, but they can also trigger awakenings specifically to deliver their messages. Common archetypal encounters at 3 a.m. include the trickster, appearing as paradoxical thoughts or unusual solutions, the divine child, bringing messages about new beginnings, the mother-father, offering nurturing or structure, and the hero, challenging you to overcome obstacles. When you wake at 3 a.m. feeling a particular presence or emotional quality in the room, ask yourself, which archetypal energy might be visiting me right now? What wisdom or challenge is it bringing? Recording these encounters helps build a relationship with these powerful internal forces. These archetypal visitations often intensify during periods when we need their specific energy or wisdom. The trickster might appear when we're too rigid in our thinking, the mother when we need self-compassion, or the hero when we face important challenges. Your 3 a.m. awakening might be timed precisely to deliver the archetypal wisdom you most need in your current life situation. Now that we've explored these Jungian mechanisms behind your 3 a.m. awakenings, you might be wondering, what should I actually do when I wake up at this hour? Jung developed a practice called active imagination that's perfectly suited for these moments. Here's a simple version you can try. When you wake at 3 a.m., instead of reaching for your phone or trying to force sleep, relax into the awakening. Notice any images, feelings, or thoughts without judgment. Imagine these contents as having their own intelligence and purpose. Mentally ask them, why are you here? What do you want me to know? Record whatever emerges through writing, voice notes, or drawing, without censoring. Over time, patterns will emerge that can transform your relationship with these awakenings from frustration to opportunity. The quality of your 3 a.m. experiences can shift dramatically, becoming less anxiety-provoking and more illuminating. Remember, Jung believed that our psychological symptoms, including sleep disturbances, are not problems to be eliminated, but messages to be understood. Your 3 a.m. awakenings might be the most direct line of communication your unconscious has to reach you. While Jung's psychological framework offers profound insights into 3 a.m. awakenings, modern sleep science has also discovered relevant patterns that complement these perspectives. Recent research has shown that 3 a.m. falls within what sleep scientists call the maintenance zone of sleep, when your body's temperature is at its lowest and your brain is most actively processing emotional content from the day. During this period, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking, is least active, while your limbic system, emotional processing, remains highly engaged. This creates the perfect neurological conditions for unconscious content to emerge into awareness. Exactly what Jung described from a psychological perspective. Studies also show that people who wake consistently at the same time each night often have underlying psychological material that needs processing. When researchers provided subjects with tools for emotional processing before bed, similar to Jung's active imagination techniques, their sleep disturbances often resolved naturally. The biological rhythm of hormones like cortisol begins rising around 3 a.m., preparing the body for waking. This natural shift in your physiological state creates a window where unconscious content can more easily rise to awareness. What seems like a sleep problem might actually be a finely tuned alignment between your body's natural rhythms and your psyche's need for integration. The next time you find yourself awake at 3 a.m., remember that both ancient wisdom and modern science suggest this isn't just insomnia. It's a special window of opportunity for psychological growth and insight. By working with your 3 a.m. awakenings rather than fighting them, you're not just improving your sleep. You're engaging in what Jung would call the night sea journey, the hero's descent into the unconscious that leads to greater wholeness and authenticity. This approach to your sleep disturbances transforms them from problems into opportunities, chances to access parts of yourself that remain hidden during waking hours. The wisdom available during these liminal hours often has precisely the quality and content needed for your current life challenges. Jung believed that everything in the psyche serves a purpose. Your 3 a.m. awakening isn't random or meaningless. It's an invitation to engage with your full self, to integrate what has been separated, and to grow into greater wholeness. When approached with curiosity rather than frustration, these mysterious hours might become some of the most valuable of your day. Instead of seeing these awakenings as problems, you can now recognize them as invitations from your unconscious. creating space for the wisdom, creativity, and wholeness that Jung believed was every person's birthright. May your night sea journeys bring you treasures from the depths,